Welcome back to hour number 2 of the Gary Sutton Show here on News Radio 910 WSBA on a Thursday morning. You hear an awful lot about the rich taking advantage of the poor, that the rich are the top 1%. They should pay a little bit more in every area, and the poor should not. And we hear this battle going on all the time. And we always look for answers on how people maybe can think more in terms of maximums in this country instead of minimums. We talk a lot about the minimum wage, but what about the maximum wage? Do we have a nation that's still working toward the maximum wage, working toward bettering themselves to the point where the sky is the limit? With us this morning is a lady who's done a lot of work in that area. Her name is Michelle Seiler-Tucker. She's the award-winning, best-selling author of a #1 Amazon.com business book, Sell Your Business for More Than It's Worth, which details how to enhance the value of your business to obtain the optimal selling price. She's had an amazing entrepreneurial career. She's owned and operated 8 successful businesses. She's a founding partner of the Capital Business Solutions franchise, a president of Capital Business Solutions, Better Business Brokers. It goes on and on and on. She's sold hundreds of franchises and businesses and helped buyers from all walks of life to live the American dream, to create financial freedom and obtain a better quality of life. And she joins us here this morning on the Gary Sutton Show. Michelle, truly an honor to have you on the show. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Gary. How are you?
Michelle, I am doing well. Thank you for asking, and I hope you are too.
I am. I just returned from South Africa. I appreciate that great intro you just gave me.
Well, thank you. Well, that was going to be the segment if I kept on going. So it was a lot of credits there. You hear it all the time, Michelle, that the rich are taking advantage of the poor. The people are poor because of the rich and so forth. What do you think? What do you say when you hear those kinds of statements being made?
Well, that can be a very long conversation because I can talk for hours upon hours upon hours. Here's the bottom line. I feel that where there's a will, there's a way. And there are plenty of opportunities to make a tremendous amount of money in the United States and or around the world. I just came back from South Africa investing in a business there. So there's no lack of money. The problem is there's lack of people who actually want to work for a living, and that's a huge problem we have in America. As far as what I wrote about in India, my big concern there is that the rich are taking advantage of the poor because of the asbestos issue.
Talk about that a little bit and take us inside that issue.
Sure, love to. In my book, Sell Your Business for More Than It's Worth, my award-winning best-selling book, I always talk about how to make money, how to build a business, how to sell it for millions, but how to do it the right way, how to do it the smart way without taking advantage of people, without, hurting people, etc. And that's not what's happening in India. They're making money because of asbestos. They're opening up over 100 asbestos plants across the country in order to sell it because it's so much cheaper than any other product, and they're killing these people. We know that asbestos is very, very, very dangerous. It takes about 20 to 40 years to see the effect of asbestos, but the problem is you have all these poor people live way below poverty. Most of Indians only make $1 a day, $1.25 a day, and many of these people are illiterate, and they don't understand the dangers of working in these plants and or living in these homes built with asbestos.
Michelle, there are a lot of people who will look at that instance right there and say, okay, there are companies that are taking advantage of people, paying them $1 a day, and some of these horrible numbers we hear all around the world, and that they shouldn't be doing that. We have companies that are leaving our country. We have, a 39% corporate tax rate here, and a lot of people are going overseas. They're having the corporate inversions and all those different kinds of things. And then they will say, well, all companies are like that. All companies then are at the root of the problem. React to that a little bit, if you would.
Yeah, that is so not true. All companies are not the root of the problem.
Right.
Government is the root of the problem.
Give me, again, break that down for me a little bit, because I think people need to hear that in specifics.
Well, I guess because I've owned so many businesses and I've sold so many businesses, I'm getting really sick and tired of hearing that business owners are the root of the problem,
right.
Because obviously we're not. I mean, small business owners are the backbone of our economy in the U.S., And, there's over 30 million businesses in the U.S., and most of those are small business owners who are creating jobs every single day. Without small business owners, you're not going to have the workforce that you have, and the economy will be even worse. But government constantly has their hand in our pockets, like you said, 39% corporate tax, et cetera. And it's hard for small business owners today to even make a profit. That's where you have to get really, really, really creative.
And I know you talk in your book here about how to sell your company for more than it's worth and to actually add worth to your company, too. One of the things that I hear people say, well, companies today will make a buck no matter what it takes, and ethics is no longer the cornerstone. We looked at capitalism as being one of the great things in our country because you have the freedom to go as far as you want to go, and yet there are people today that have that idea that, well, ethics has kind of left the building on that, when a lot of people still want to operate their companies ethically. I wanted to ask you, in all the companies you've been involved with, and I know you allude to those as well in your book, Sell Your Business for More Than It's Worth, is ethics still there? I mean, when you have been involved in the company, where does ethics go? Is that right at the top of the list?
It absolutely is. When I look for franchisees for Capital Business Solutions to grow my company across the country, I always look for ethics. If somebody doesn't have good business ethics, acumen, etc., I typically will not work with them and will not grant them a franchise. And even business owners I work with, I've walked away from deals every single day because the business owner wasn't ethical. If they're looking to cut me out of my fees, then what are they going to do to the buyer who buys their business? So ethics always has to be at the top of the list. I'm ethical. Do I mess up from time to time? Of course, everybody does. Nobody's perfect. But at the end of the day, I want to make sure that I can look myself in the mirror and know that I'm doing a good job for my clients.
So take us inside the mind of someone who is an entrepreneur who has been involved in so many different things out there. What do you look at? As you were sitting there talking about not dealing with some of the companies out there because of a lack of ethics, all I could think about was the movie Hutch, when Will Smith wouldn't deal with some of the people because they had bad ethics and he stayed away. You're kind of like the corporate version of Hutch there a little bit, aren't you?
Yeah, I really am. And, I always try to set up my clients for success. So, I'll just give you a few examples.
Sure.
I was dealing with a customer the other day, a business owner, a pretty large business owner, actually, and they're refusing to sign a non-compete, and they don't want to include some intellectual property. Well, I walked away from that deal because here's the bottom line. If my buyer is going to purchase that business, put up their life savings to invest and quit their job to run this company, and my seller's not willing to sign a non-compete, include some intellectual property, guess what the seller's going to do? They're going to go down the street and compete with my buyer. So therefore, I walked away from that company, which was a pretty large fee, because I want to make sure the buyers are protected. So in my opinion, I have a fiduciary duty to my seller and to my buyer, and I never, ever will set somebody up for failure. And if I don't feel that the seller has ethics and that they're not going to do the right thing, then I absolutely will walk away, because you know what? There's over 5 million businesses for sale every single day. There's lots of businesses that I can assist, business owners that are trying to do the right thing.
And that's laudable, because I think a lot of people need to know that, because they make assumptions otherwise. And again, to me, that's kind of corporate profiling a little bit. You say, well, one person's a bum over here, but not everybody is doing that, and people are trying to do it the right way. One of the things that we talk about a lot on our show, Michelle, and we're talking with Michelle Seiler-Tucker, who's the award-winning best-selling author of the #1 Amazon.com business book, Sell Your Business for More Than It's Worth. When you talk in your book here about you give people a lot of help in creating a business that's going to work for you rather than you working for it. I was struck by that term in there. And when you're ready to sell it, it'll sell for more than it's worth. The idea that you are investing yourself in a business, you're throwing yourself in a business, you want to be wise in a business, what are the things you tell people? Because there are a lot of people out there, we hear about 90% of businesses, small businesses, fail in the first year and all those kind of stats. But it sounds to me like you're setting people up for success. What are some of the things in the book here that really help to set people up for success that are going into business right now?
Yeah, the first thing that I always say, Gary, is don't start a business, buy a business, because that 90% that you just quoted, that's for startups. Right. That's not existing businesses. Mm-hmm. And in many cases, when individuals try to start a business, they end up spending more money, time, energy, and effort than buying an existing business, because you never know. It's a huge gamble. You might as well just go to a casino, lay your money on the table, because in all likelihood, you're going to lose your money. The biggest mistake the business owners make that start a business is they don't. Everybody says, well, people go out of business because they don't have a good business plan. That's not true. They go out of business because they run out of money. When you buy an existing business, it's typically less money up front than it is to start a business. And what are you buying? You're buying a proven track record. You're buying a customer base. You're buying employees in place. You're buying a healthy cash flow. So you're not going to need as much operating capital as you will for a startup. So my suggestion is always don't start a business unless you're really, really, really clever and you got this great idea that nobody else has. Then perhaps start it. But you got to start it with the right partners, enough working capital. Otherwise, buy an existing business. There's over 5 million of them for sale, and they're great businesses with great cash flow. And many of these businesses have good management teams in place.
Michelle, I'm an old coach, basketball coach for 38 years, and I often tell people, you can walk into a gym and I can tell you what's going on there in 5 minutes, what the coach is doing, what kind of atmosphere it is, and so forth. One of the things you talk about in your book is you say, give me 30 minutes and I'll identify what's wrong with your business and show you how to fix it and sell it for more than it's worth. And you talk about a method about defining the top 9 mistakes entrepreneurs make and get your business in line. What are some of the top 9 mistakes that entrepreneurs make? We're not going to give them all because we want them to read the book here. So go ahead.
Sure. One of the top ones is branding. Most business owners have not properly branded themselves and or their company. Most business owners, 95% of business owners, live in brand absence. Brand absence means that consumers are not aware of you and your products and services. So you really have to go from brand absence all the way up the branding ladder to brand advocacy. And brand advocacy is when somebody else sells you rather than you selling yourself. So that's one of the number one mistakes. The other mistake is most people have created a job in which they go to work every day, not a business that works for them. So what I work with my clients on is creating a business that actually works for you rather than you working for it, and hiring employees, hiring independent contractors, duplicating yourself. That's the other big mistake. Another big mistake, I look at the 3 Ps. What are the 3 Ps in any successful company? If you don't have these 3 Ps, you're not going to be successful. Number 1, people. You've got to have the right people. You have to have the right team surrounding you. Always hire people smarter than you in different areas. Number 1. Number 2, you got to have a good product. If you don't have a good product, you're not going to be in business for very long. And you can have great people and you can have a great product, but if you don't have the processes, your business is also not going to be successful. So those are also the 3 Ps that I work with my clients on. The other thing is that business owners, the biggest mistake that they make is they don't plan their exit strategy. Most business owners want to sell their business. They choose to sell their business when a catastrophic event has occurred. Somebody dying, health issues, divorce, partner disputes, etc. The best time to sell your business is when your business is doing well and trending upward, not downward.
Great. Yeah, it's a great point that you make. We're going to come back. We're going to take a very quick break. We're going to come back with Michelle Seiler-Tucker, the leading authority on buying and selling businesses, and she has a book out there. You might want to read it, Sell Your Business for More Than It's Worth. A great book, and you can find it at Amazon.com. And I suspect, Michelle, you're going to find it at a few bookstores around the country too, right?
Absolutely. You can find it at a few bookstores. You can also go to MichelleTuckerInternational.com.
And I say that with tongue-in-cheek because you can find it in a lot of bookstores right now. We're going to come right back, and we're going to ask Michelle, is there anything wrong with saying, I just want to make money, or are there other things that have to come in place of that before that happens? Michelle Seiler-Tucker right back with us here on The Gary Sutton Show on News Radio 910 WSBA. Welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show on WSBA with Michelle Seiler-Tucker, who's written a book called Sell Your Business for More Than It's Worth. And we're talking about, the idea that how do the rich take advantage of the poor? And that was particularly in India, where we see situations where business is taking advantage of workers who are making $1 a day in asbestos factories, of all things. Michelle, are there people in the country here? How do you look at it when business goes out, for example, and says, I don't like the tax rate we have. I'm moving to another place. Maybe I'm moving to Mexico. Maybe I'm moving overseas. What are your thoughts about that when people do that and take advantage of the very fact that people are willing to work for a lot less in those countries, rather? Excuse me, I'll spit that out.
Right. Well, we don't really have business owners that sell their business and go to another country. I mean, America is still a great country to be in and to live in. Even though we have obviously issues with the government, it's still a great country. So we don't really have that. Now, what we do have is business owners taking, I won't say necessarily taking advantage of, but utilizing services in other countries like India, China, Africa, etc., because the labor force is so much less expensive.
Right.
I mean, I just came back from a business that I'm have an interest in there, and another business I'm looking at purchasing, where their overhead for labor is $70,000 a month. And you might think that's a lot, but that's 45 people. That's less than $18,000 a person, and it's quality people. So my thing is not necessarily don't take advantage of people, because I never believe in that, but I do believe in giving some of these opportunities to people in other countries and pay them a fair dollar for great work if they have the skill sets that you need in your business, and you can't maybe, perhaps for whatever reason, find the skill sets here.
What is the obligation of business? And again, we're talking a lot about your book right now, Sell Your Business for More Than It's Worth. What is the obligation of business to give back to their employees from your particular vantage point?
Well, your employees are your team, and you can't do anything alone. I mean, in order to build a great company, and in order to really thrive in this economy, you have to have a team. Nobody can operate on an island. And it's always important to give back to your employees, rather that be, some bonuses or commissions or extra incentives, a trip, a holiday, whatever. It's always important. I have many business owners whose businesses I sell, and they're the number one important thing to them is to make sure that their employees are taken care of. And in many cases, they even set aside some funds that will trickle down to their employees upon the business closing. So, the people, the business owners who really take care of their employees are the ones who flourish and the ones who really seem to succeed more so than any other companies.
As you look at the business climate today, and a lot of people, I had one economist on talking the other day, said our economy is kind of like who's the largest midget in the room right now, and it's kind of bouncing along the bottom of the ocean here. But there are opportunities out there. I mean, we are seeing some things pick up. But as you look at the economy right now, what's the climate you see, not only here in the United States, but since we're kind of globally connected, around the world? Is there a better business climate? And if not, what can we do to make it better?
Well, in my industry, the economy is pretty good, and this is why. There's so many, like I said, there's over 30 million business owners.
Right.
And many of them are selling because many of them are planning their exit strategy because they want to retire. There's a tremendous amount of baby boomers across the United States that are wanting to retire and sell their businesses, and these are good businesses. And now more than ever before, we have a ton of buyers working for corporate America that were laid off because of the economy, but many of these business owners have saved money. Many of them have money in their 401k, in their retirement plan, and they can actually redirect that money to purchase a business without paying taxes and penalties. So in my industry, the economy is pretty good. I mean, of course, you're going to have those businesses that are failing for a multitude of reasons, because how many yogurt shops can you have on one block?
Yeah.
How many pizzerias can you have in one mile? So that some of these industries are really cannibalized because there's too many of them. But for the most part, if I have a buyer who really wants to buy a heavy cash flow business and has some money to redirect, I have a business for them, and I have a great business for them.
Is the government doing enough today to present a better climate, not just for large business, but for the small business that is the backbone of America? I mean, we talked about the corporate tax rate, for example. We see an awful lot of movement within our country from places like New York. Although last night I was watching commercials from New York now that say, oh, we got all these different tax things for you now that's better. It's like come back home, the ones that have moved to Texas and Florida and places where there is no corporate tax rate. So is the government doing enough right now, not only in the states, but federal government, to present a better atmosphere for business to take place?
I don't don't believe so at all. I believe that the government is hurting us, not helping us, especially by shoving Obamacare down our throats and with a high tax rate, et cetera. I don't think they are doing enough. I would like to see some really good entrepreneurs in the White House.
Yeah. You don't have one in mind, do you, right now? Some people are mentioning a certain entrepreneur out there who's kind of getting some another second look here for the moment. Hey, we have about a minute left here, Michelle. People can buy that book, Sell Your Business for More Than It's Worth. It's in bookstores around the country. It's at Amazon.com. I'm looking at MichelleTuckerInternational.com where you can buy the book too. But what do you want people to walk away saying after they've read this book? Because it's got a lot of really, really neat ideas in it.
I really want them to walk away with the thought process that, number one, they have to plan their exit strategy. Don't wait till it's too late to sell your business. That's number one. Number two, if you're going to keep your business, there's so many things that you can do to grow that business that's not going to cost you a lot of money. I help my clients grow businesses all the time. I don't just sell businesses. I also partner with business owners, and I help them add congruent revenue streams, help them hire people, and help them expand their footprint across the U.S., not just in their local marketplace.
Well, good stuff. And Michelle, thank you so much for taking the time this morning. Fascinating things. And again, I love to hear how the corporate mind works. You've certainly given us a good look inside that this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. It was a pleasure to be here. Come to New Orleans to your jewelry store.
Well, I'll get down to New Orleans sometime. You'll have to treat me to a bowl of jambalaya or something like that.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Michelle. The name of the book is Sell Your Business for More Than It's Worth. You can find it at Amazon.com. You can find it also in major bookstores. Michelle, I look forward to our next time soon.
Thank you, Gary. It was a pleasure.
Take care. Michelle Seiler-Tucker with us here, the leading authority on buying and selling businesses on the Gary Sutton Show on News Radio 910 WSBA. When we come back, Andy Gause. Also, in the world of money today, a little bit. He's the author of The Secret World of Money. Uncle Sam cooks the books in his World of Money newsletter. You can actually get that letter. We'll tell you about how to do that. But hey, America, take your cash and shove it. That's Andy's talk this morning, all here on the Gary Sutton Show. He'll be back with us at 10:35 on News Radio 910 WSBA. This is the Gary Sutton Show, 31 minutes past the hour.